Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. My name is John Shipley. I am your host and beat reporter, and I have been your beat reporter covering the Jacksonville Jaguars for On SI every single day since August 2019, and we are continuing to move forward through another training camp together. As always, you can always find our 100% free, 24/7, boots on the ground content covering the Jacksonville Jaguars when you follow us on social media such as Facebook and Twitter at Jaguars on SI. You can also find us at www.si.com/NFL/Jaguars. Welcome, folks, to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. My name is John Shipley, your host and beat reporter, and we are one day closer to roster cutdowns for the Jaguars and the rest of the NFL to get down to their 53-man rosters. Now, I will preface this in saying the simple act of roster cutdown day is probably the worst day in the NFL. I think for players, coaches, whoever. It's a great day for some, obviously. Guys who make the roster, those great undrafted stories, etc. But, several hundreds, thousands, whatever the number is, of guys who are losing their jobs as teams cut around 37 players. So, obviously a great day for some not so others. It's a day I don't really enjoy, to be frank with you, as a journalist, but it is a part of the job, and I am fully cognizant that one of the big things that, fans, listeners, readers love is 53-man roster projection. So, my final 53-man roster projection for the Jaguars and Liam Cohen's first squad came out on Tuesday. My apologies, came out on Sunday as we prepare for Tuesday. And real quick, I'll just run through it and give you any little notes, nuggets, whatever I have. Start with quarterbacks. It's pretty obvious. I have them with carrying two quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence and Nick Mullins. It's very clear, that's the direction they're going. There's never been any other direction. I've seen some fans have their own projections that have Wolford or Seth Hennigan as the number two, even as the 2 and 3 without Mullins. Not happening. That's just as simple as I can put it. Nick Mullins is the backup quarterback. I think Wolford and Hennigan are both practice squad options. Do they carry one on a practice squad? Do they carry both? I'm not sure, but, Wolford, they like him. They like his experience. They like the fact that he knows the offense. And then Hennigan, I think displayed some serious flashes throughout training camp. Running backs. I have them keeping 4, Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, Bayshal Tune, and LaQuint Allen. I've seen some people, say, should I keep Jaquindon Jackson over, whether it's Tank Bigsby or Travis Etienne. I don't believe that's the case. I do think the Jaguars will explore what the market looks like for their veteran running backs. This isn't me saying the Jaguars are, actively shopping them, the Jaguars are trying to get rid of them for anything, or the Jaguars will trade them. I just think that they will explore that option. Because Liam Cohen himself made it clear, hey, if we carry 4 running backs, one of them's not going to be active on game day. And they need 3 running backs. They need 3. Not 4, 3. So, to me, the most logical option to trade would be Tank Bigsby. And I say that because I know he's younger than Travis Etienne. He has less mileage. He has more years on his contract. He's cheaper. But he just simply put, for as good of a rusher as Tank is, he makes offenses predictable and one-dimensional. And it's nothing against him. It's just what it is. Liam Cohen himself said it a couple weeks ago. Both as a pass catcher and pass blocker, Tank just has to show more, in my opinion, to be a player who, when he's on the field, you're not showing your full cards. Because right now, if I'm a defense and I see Tank hit the field, I'm assuming it's a running play. And no, it won't be a running play every single time. But it kind of, to me, telegraphs what they're trying to do. So I think the most likely outcome is they keep all 4, but I do think there's a scenario where they look at the options to unload one of them. And I think Bigsby makes the most sense. Wide receiver, I had them keeping only 5. Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, De'Ami Brown, Parker Washington, Eli Pankel. That could be Trenton Irwin also. I think it's going to be one of the two. This is one of those cases where, I think those guys will be on the initial 53-man roster. I don't really anticipate them being on the week 1 53-man roster, though. There's going to be a lot of roster mechanics with this team, I believe. Because, 1, they have quite a few guys hurt who could start the year on IR. And then 2, they have a young general manager who comes from a team that did a lot of roster gymnastics when it came to cut down day. So whether Trenton Irwin or Eli Pankel make the roster, it just feels like kind of a here damn kind of spot. I think the Jaguars will be, to me, I anticipate the Jaguars' 5th receiver to be on a different team as of right now. Tight ends, pretty cut and dry. I only have them keeping 3. Brendan Strange, Hunter Long, Johnny Munt. Hunter Long had shown some flashes. Johnny Munt is, Kevin O'Connell called him the best tight end 3 in the NFL. And then Brendan Strange is the clear tight end 1. There's not really any drama with this group. There's not anybody who you're like, it's tough to keep 4 tight ends, but it'd be nice if they could, yada, yada. There's not really a guy who has stood out like that. They have some decent practice squad options, but only, at least in my opinion, have the 3 guys who are really rosterable. At offensive line, I have them keeping 9. Walker Little, Ezra Cleveland, Robert Hainsey, Patrick McCary, Anton Harrison, Fred Johnson, Shumi Dogo, Wyatt Milam, and Jonah Monheim. Now, Cole Van Lannon, if healthy, I think would be on this list. I think Cole Van Lannon will be an IR guy. I think that otherwise, there really just aren't many surprises here. I could also see Wyatt Milam being an IR guy. Now, in Miami, it looks like a lower body injury because he had a big old brace on his left leg. And Liam Cohen called him week to week. So we'll see when he's available. But, if they don't put him on IR, I'd imagine he's just a game day scratch for a while as he recovers. But, again, not real surprises there. And that's the thing, guys, honestly, with this 53-man roster. I don't think there are many surprises. I think they know who their guys are, for the most part. Maybe a surprise here or there, but ultimately, I think the Jaguars know who are the guys they want to keep and who are the guys they're trying to look to improve upon. At defensive end / edge, I had them keeping Trayvon Walker, Josh Hines-Allen, DeJuan Smoot, Emmanuel Ogbah, and I went ahead and kept B.J. Green. I think B.J. Green is one of those guys who he has just done enough to this point that if you waive him, I don't think you can keep him on the practice squad. I think somebody will pick him up. He just had a very effective preseason rushing the pass. Now, with that said, keeping him, I think he'd probably be a scratch on game day. But, I've seen some projections of them having 6 defensive ends. I don't think so. I think they keep one of the undrafted guys if they keep any. Dennis Gardeck can also, rush off the edge, so that gives him some flexibility. But, the first 4 guys are making it for sure. Defensive line, I only had them keeping 5. And a reason for that is because I think, we've seen enough of this training camp. DeJuan Smoot, Trayvon Walker getting reps inside rushing the passer. You've even seen Dennis Gardeck rushing inside on, nickel and dime packages. So I think for defensive line right now, I have Eric Armstead, Devon Hamilton, Mason Smith, Austin Johnson, and Colin Saunders. I have Tyler Lacey and Jordan Jefferson, both his guys getting cut. I just think Austin Johnson showed more than either of those guys throughout training camp, and you kind of saw his role elevate some as it went along. And then Colin Saunders, I just simply, they didn't trade for him to not make the team, in my opinion. I have them keeping 6 linebackers on the initial 53. I do think Jalen McLeod is an IR candidate, though, so they could keep him and then potentially bring back a guy like Yusir Abdullah after, he's waived. But for Aluakon, Devin Lloyd is your starters, Ventrell Miller, Jack Kaiser are the backups, Dennis Gardeck as the starting Sam, and then Jalen McLeod or Yusir Abdullah, however they want to do that roster mechanics-wise. I do have Chad Muma getting cut. At corner, I have them keeping 5 because Travis Hunter counts as a 6th. So Tyson Campbell, Jarian Jones, Jordan Lewis are locks. Buster Brown, even though he's injured, I have him making it. And then Christian Braswell. I think he was very impressive. He has special teams value. I think he's making it. So that's DeAndre Prince out. DeAndre Prince I have out. Jordan Jefferson I have out. Javon Foster I have out. Chad Muma I have out. This is not a very complimentary projection for the Trent Baalke era. And then lastly, specialists, of course, are the obvious three. And then at safety, I have them keeping 6. Eric Murray, Darnell Savage, Caleb Ransaw, Daniel Thomas, Andrew Wingard, and Antonio Johnson. I think Ransaw will be another guy that ends up on IR. Maybe you try to bring back Ray Lane via waivers there. I don't imagine Rayon Lane, if he's waived, that there's going to be that many teams lining up for him. So I do think that they could get him back that way. But ultimately, the other guys, they offer a blend of veteran experience. They can help on defense, and they can help on special teams. I think they keep them, though Antonio Johnson, I could see them potentially trying to barter, trying to get a late day 3 pick for him. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. My name is John Shipley, your host and beat reporter. And as always, we'll be back next time.